Aloha and welcome to a League of Extraordinary Couples. Today, I am delighted to invite some new friends to join us, and they're actually over on just another island. They're over on Maui today. Leah and Matt Piper are going to join us as we dive deep into their budding relationship of deep connection for 4 years as they're exploring what they've been through in their life and moving into greater consciousness and greater evolution in the space between. And stay tuned because they're going to be doing some things coming up for couples in the new year or in the year ahead. And I just want to introduce this idea that Leah has been a Tantra practitioner since 1997. That's a long time, and brings a wealth of information as a guide out there in deepening the meaning behind sexuality. So we have that as a backdrop, and we have Matt bringing his retired status from the automobile industry and on this quest, because he did it, he told me right before I hit record, he tried doing the alone thing for about 7 years or so, and it didn't get him where he wanted to go. And so they're diving in and they're connected. So please introduce yourselves, say hello to our audience today.
Well, hey, everybody. It's great to be with you. I've had the privilege of working in the personal growth industry for the last 16 years, specializing in sexuality and spirituality. And it's been wonderful to see the miracles that can happen when couples turn towards each other to develop a deeper connection, when they really take a look at relationship, not just from a standpoint of, oh, wonderful, I have a companion, but really I have someone who will show me how to grow and how to live this life to the fullest, who I can look towards to hold my hand through some of those things that get scary in partnership, who will push my edges so that I will grow and expand and not get stagnant. And that can be very challenging in a relationship. And so Matt and I have had a whirlwind courtship, and we've been married for 2 years, together for 4. And I have to say that we met each other at a really auspicious time in our life. We waited, you know, compared to most people, I was 39 when we got married, and you were 49.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm really glad that we waited a little bit later in life to find that life partner, because I needed to make a lot of mistakes first. And so, yeah, I mean, that's a little bit about us. Is there anything you want to add about who we are?
No, I think you kind of covered it. It's been an incredible journey so far, and we're still growing and unfolding. And yeah.
Well, I want to say a big thank you, because I know this is your first interview together getting out there, and that is so precious to me. So I'm holding that and thanking you for the privilege of going deep into your personal relationship. So that's where we're going to dive now. So if you were to describe your relationship as a landscape, how would you describe that for us today? I'd love to hear from both of you.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with this question. You want to begin?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing that came to mind for me, well, for Leah, it was an ocean.
Yeah,
and she'll
like
elaborate on that.
Yeah.
But what came to mind for me was sort of a playing field where there's expectations, and there's there's rules, and there's certain things that there's a safe place for all this stuff to unfold, all this activity. And that really resonated with me.
It's like you've got the rules of engagement with the game. You got penalties. You've got times where you champion, you hit a home run, and other times where you feel like you lost the game.
And a lot of it is finding out what the rules are. So it's a game that's not really set from the beginning. It's really something that you figure out sort of what you're supposed to do or what resonates as you move through the game.
And so you have to develop who you are as a team.
Yeah.
And you have to learn that sometimes winning isn't the most important. It's really the how you are, your sportsmanship, how you are as a team player. Sometimes one of you has to take the role as being the team captain. And can you move that around and know when it's your turn to be the captain and when it's their turn to be the captain? And How you
And
brush yourself off when you get stains on your uniform.
right. And the idea that you choose your best player for whatever the situation is at hand. You know, we each have strengths and weaknesses, and it's nice to be able to, you know where I need to best support her, and nice to know where I best need support and how to explain or, you know, how to let her know that so she can be there for me.
Yeah.
I love that, Matt. I'm getting this image of containment because you said one of the key words that I think indicates relational health and thriving in an extraordinary way, which is safety. You said this playing field, there's a feeling of safety, and you both articulated these beautiful ways of being, this sense of being on a team. It's not about winning and losing. It's about that containment of the relationship. So I love that. Thank you. And Leah, I'd love to hear from you now.
Well, you know, when I think of sort of that landscape of relationship, and I think especially when I think of the feminine, it's weather, you know, and can we really respect the weather that comes into our life and understand that storm brings so much value? Yeah, there's sometimes a mess to clean up, but who you are after the storm, when you've learned that you've got resiliency, it can oftentimes, when you've weathered something, it brings you closer together, even though sometimes it's scary when the clouds come in. And then who's that person I want to turn towards when the sun is out and I want to go play and feel the wind on our skin? And, you know, I so think of relationship, if you can be receiving and accepting that life comes with a lot of weather, then you get to have a lot of fun, you know? You really do. As long as you're prepared for the weather. You know, it's been raining a lot in California, and we need the rain. And it's easy to complain about it in the moment, but if you're dressed right, it can be the funnest place to go be outside. And so I think the best way to do partnership and relationship is to make sure that you've got the right gear for all the weather. And that way you don't have to fall apart when you need a new roof.
You know, I like the ocean metaphor too, like the floating. Like there's a sweet spot. There's a place where you're on the surface and you see the sun and the clouds and the beauty. But there are times in relationship too where one or both can sink below the surface, and you know, maybe not as you know, the beauty is not as accessible. And so, you know, knowing that there's this interplay between being conscious and unconscious and knowing how to navigate that is real important for me.
Beautiful, beautiful. I am just so falling in love with you both. The space between you is so sweet. And what I just heard in that was this idea of respect. Respect the weather, respect what is, be prepared. And then this, I love that you brought in the ocean again, because it is the unconscious. It is the depths, and we can soar above and float and feel the, you know, riding the waves. And for me, I'm going to add a little bit of my own in here, if I may. When I dive deep within my own being, there is a sense of calm. There may be turbulent weather up here, but when I go in, there's calm, and then I can come back up. And so that's what I really see you two embodying. So thank you for that.
There was one other part to the metaphor that I wanted to say, because it's sort of near and dear to my heart, and it was around fishing. And you know, being triggered. You know, a lot of times we will interact, and there will be something in Leah that will bring something forth in me. Sometimes it's deep, you know, emotional stuff, and you know, you reel it up, and you don't know what you get until it breaks the surface. And it's you know, that's something that really resonates with me, because I feel like it goes on a lot in our relationship. I feel like I find out so much more about myself being in relationship to her. And
you really unearth things in yourself by being intimate with someone else.
I don't get triggered by myself so much.
Because what you spot, you've got, you know, it's
exactly.
I love that fishing, like the mystery of you never know what's going to come up or what you're going to unearth. So if you were to distill all of that, what would you say matters most to you in your relationship? That's a tough one, because there's so much. There's respect.
You know, I think for me, it's it has to be around consciousness.
Okay.
You know, I look at this as an exploration of consciousness and awareness, and you know,
It's
and
not
she
just about happiness. You know, like I'm
right.
not put on this earth to make Matt happy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm put on this earth in partnership with Matt so that he can grow into himself more fully. And likewise, it's like we're really here for each other's personal growth.
Right.
And I know for me, what feels like the greatest miracle in life is being able to explore the fabric of what love is. Like what is love? And that's an important question for me in my life to deeply explore and to feel and to understand the texture of that experience of love in a human body. And to be able to have romantic love is a unique and precious gift, and something that I don't ever want to take for granted, that this person, this precious human being has chosen me to walk with. And to be as awake and conscious of that is for me one of the things I feel like I was brought on this earth to try to articulate, not just for myself but for others, to bring more meaning so that people can embrace romantic love on a whole new level, to be truly awake and conscious of it, and to be grateful for it. So that's, I think, the most meaningful part to me around partnership, is to deeply explore what is love and all of its permutations.
Yeah, you know, another part for me too would be just, you know, having, and this sort of, I guess, resonates back with the whole playing field thing, but I feel like Leah provides a space for me to bring everything I have. You know, we've had situations where, you know, where I'm having a deep emotional reaction to something, and it's great to be able to be held and nurtured and seen by someone in a way that I would have never let somebody see me before. You know, I feel that sense of safety and that sense of really, you know, being able to bring whatever it is inside. Bring
yeah, and like someone wants to be there for that.
Right.
They are eager to hold that space of vulnerability. It's a precious gift that you would get naked, you know, and really show parts of yourself that it would be too scary to share to everybody.
Yeah.
And that's a great privilege we get to provide each other.
Leah, I just want to echo that and highlight the power it takes, the powerful woman that you are, to create that space and allow the safety for Matt to come forward in that. And I feel like Matt is representative of that new consciousness of our male realm of, okay, men need to be strong. We've heard this, they've known this throughout their life. And I think this paradigm shift of vulnerability as a way of strength, expressing feelings, expressing needs, is indeed a strength. And I really want to highlight that, because when I get the great good fortune of having a couple on, and I can actually see the space between the two of you and how you do bring out the best in each other, I'm like, this is gold. I want to highlight this, and it's just so precious. So am I getting you both when I give you that feedback?
Yeah, and I think what's interesting too is there was something about meeting Matt that allowed me to sink into my feminine in a deeper way than ever before. And I've had the privilege of loving other very strong men, but I've been able to live more fully from my feminine because I have a partner who's so strongly and powerfully holding the masculine that I'm safer than I've ever been in my life. Yes. And just walking down the street, it's not even something I have to think about, but I'm more soft than I've ever been in my life. I'm more at ease in my body. I'm not pushing and striving and stressing because I'm holding both feminine and masculine energy so strong to put things into form. I've got someone who helps me stay in my feminine to do all those things I want to do in the world. And therefore, I'm happier, I'm softer, I'm more at peace. And I think the feedback I've gotten from the people who love me dearly since meeting Matt is they've all said, you're so much softer. Yay. You seem so much lighter and happier, and you're nicer.
Oh, there's that.
I really want to be nicer.
Oh, I love it. And it rings so true for me. I'm just covered in chicken skin. Yeah. It's like, yes, yes, yes. And I see Matt's like gold crown of royalty.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, he is the king and you are the queen. And that softness, I really want to highlight that too. It's all about tenderizing our heart. That's what I'm writing my book about. That's what I'm finding in my own experience as a tender, powerful, generous woman. It's yes, yes, yes. Matt, did you want to add to that at all?
You know, the open heart part of it too. That's a big deal for me. Like she's taught me to be able to be safe opening my heart. So it's not just it's not just something that's taking place in the context of our relationship. You know, I'm able to go out into the world and feel a certain sense of safety in staying open and the freedom associated with that. And I would attribute that to our relationship for sure.
Awesome.
We think of it this way. It's energetically, it's my job in partnership with Matthew to protect his heart, and it's his job to protect my pelvis. And there's a whole concept around that I teach that we wouldn't have time to go into here, but it's an amazing, it's an amazing part of connection that energetically we can help protect those places that oftentimes in the world have a tendency to get damaged.
Wow. That just blew my mind. I want to go more there, but we'll put a pause button and I'll explore that and we'll find more about that later. But yes, protecting his heart and he's protecting your pelvis. Woo! Okay, so what about those times when conflict does come up? When the static gets loud, the negativity comes up, how do you dissolve that? How do you work with that in the space between?
So we have a commitment. It's a question that when we notice that we're separate or we've had a blowout, the question is, how quickly can I come back to love? Mm-hmm. And it's a choice of going, what does it take to end the separateness? And it starts for me with, I forgive you for your part and I forgive myself for my part. And being able to be self-reflective, getting out of shaming and blaming, and having a quest that it doesn't feel good to stay stuck. It doesn't feel good to punish each other. To get off it, not to hold on so tightly to being right, that you forget that part of the gift and why we're doing all this has to do with love, you know? So that's a big one for me.
Yeah, you know, we had some training from John and Julie Gottman, and it was around the four horsemen of the apocalypse, and it's their behaviors that you know, if you engage in them, they don't bode well for your relationship.
Yeah, your chances for divorce are increased exponentially.
Right. So we've become really good at spotting those four horsemen. You know, when one of us is being critical or super defensive, or what are the other?
Stonewalling. Is stonewalling one of them?
Yeah, stonewalling. I can be a big stonewaller. And condemn.
I'm really tempted. Scary one.
And so if we recognize either of those ways of relating in each other in the context of an argument, you know, just saying it oftentimes brings enough awareness.
And it's not that you're fighting about something. It's more like the tone of the voice that you hit each other with, or you're just kind of getting on each other's nerves, or you keep doing the same thing over and over again that's super irritating. And you can show up with those four negative pieces and to kind of have a timeout and go, you know, that tone of voice, really, I don't think you're meaning it, but it's coming out like this. Can we excavate this a little bit and see what's really going on? Because it's all symptomology usually.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for bringing up that. The four horsemen, the tone of voice, the nonverbal communication. I mean, stonewalling is pretty much like, you know, the big F you without saying it.
Right, totally.
And we both said contempt and kind of went, ugh. And I want to just bring that to the light because we do want to clear up and name the negativity to tame it. And for me, contempt is when I expect my beloved Mark to be other than he truly is. And when I'm living in this rejection of the present moment, of the present embodiment of who he is, there's no way he can win, and there's no way I'm going to get where I want to go. And I've created my own personal hell right then and there. And so, yes, to be able to name those 4 horsemen and get out of them. And I love that question. How quickly can I come back to love? Absolutely. Yeah. Something else, Matt?
Yeah. Well, actually, sometimes her just saying that, it really comes down to what can prompt us into awareness and some amount of reflection that can dissolve some of these situations. And oftentimes we'll be in conflict, and she'll say, can we come back to love? And that's enough for me to soften and for her to soften and for us both to say, yes, it's time.
And sometimes you're feeling a little stuck, and sometimes you have to say, I really want to come back to love. I'm not quite there yet, but I promise I'll get there.
Yeah, she comes back quicker than I do in general.
I recover fast, and I have to respect that he needs more time.
Right.
And sometimes I can be impatient, but we've trust each other enough now that, and one of the key phrases for me is I need to hear from him. I will come back.
Yeah.
I promise I'll come back. I'm not there yet. Yeah. But don't worry, I will be there.
Right. That's a big part. She can feel a little bit abandoned. If I do the stonewalling type thing, or I draw up my or pull up my drawbridge, and I've got arrow archers on the parapets, and she really feels like I've left her. And although it's important for me to sort of regather myself and recenter and deal with my own thing, I do try to make it clear to her that, this is, I will return. I just need to go over here and collect myself for it.
Yeah. Deep appreciation that you're both bringing this up, that men and women constitutionally respond differently to stressful moments. And you're not alone in that it takes you longer, Matt. I can speak for my husband and the many men that I've worked with. And so I'm going to highlight that for the men who are listening. Give yourself a break. Give reassurance to your beloved. I'll be back. And recognize when you do pull up that drawbridge and you're on the sovereignty of your own island, you get to fortify your love, your loving heart, and be willing to come back. And I love hearing the normalizing of that it does take men, not every man, but oftentimes a little bit longer. And how can I grow my patience? I am fiery and impatient. I want to deal with that conflict as growth trying to happen and get past it yesterday.
Yeah.
That plum doesn't happen that way. So, okay. So our last question, this is so juicy. I could talk to you both all day, but for the purpose of the structure of these powerful short interviews, let's look at what ways do you deepen the connection in the space between? Love to hear from you both.
I think the best way for me is to have it be an actual practice, a ritual of some sort. And it can be really small. We have this funny thing where every time we're on an escalator, we have a magic moment where we stop and look at each other and give each other a really warm, heartfelt kiss.
I get on this 2 steps above, so that because he's a foot taller than me, where we get to be really like right there, and we capture this magic moment. And we look forward to it every time there's an escalator, and we never miss it. We never miss a magic moment on that.
Never do. And there's a bunch of little things. We take baths together. There's a lot of just personal rituals. And I'd even like to add more to that. I think that really supports us.
Yeah, looking for daily ways of connecting. For the Gottmans call it bids for connection.
Right.
And so I can easily go into tunnel vision, especially when I'm in front of a computer screen, or I'll get to cooking, or I'll do something that has me really hyper focused. And for me to pay attention that Matt will have a bid for connection and I might miss it.
Yeah.
And so trying to learn what are the cues for bids for connection, which is usually him telling me something about an aha in a book, because he's always reading a fabulous book and he's having 100 ahas. And for me to turn away from what I'm doing, give him 30 seconds of undivided present attention to take in a moment of his glory, and I've gotten way better in the past year of not missing those cues. So we try really hard to be awake to those bids of connection.
Yeah. I love it.
It's, it's so interesting too, because even when we miss, it's like I feel like I've gotten to the point where something of this nature happens where I'm bringing something to her. She's hyper focused. It used to be that I would feel rejected and resentful, and I would go away and be like, I'll show her. I won't. I'll go over here. And it's just funny how all of these little things are fodder for growth. It's like I'm learning stuff about myself and appreciating stuff about myself because of our interaction. It's just been super powerful.
And I think the other thing that I'm so glad it's getting, even I feel like the love languages is getting a whole nother push through social media. I'm seeing it all over the place, and that's really magic. Yeah. So I know that one of Matt's primary love languages is touch. And even though I'm a Tantra teacher, you think mine would be touch too, but it's not. It's really not. So I have to actually practice touch and remember to, touch him when I pass him by the hallway. Bring my arms around him in the kitchen. Like I really, in order to
look at him right now. Look at him right now. He's choking it up.
Yeah. He totally responds, right? And he knows that I like compliments. I like words of affirmation. And so that's not necessarily his nature. And we both had to adjust to giving the language that they're really probably our least out of the 5. We're at the bottom to be present with. So I love that challenge.
There's also the fact, like one of her love languages is acts of service. So when she cooks for me, although I normally wouldn't have thought of that as being a way to show love, now I've sort of, now I see it. I know that that's what she's doing when she's cooking for me. So I appreciate it on that level. I try to receive it, even though it's not my love language. I receive it as her giving me, giving me her love.
Yeah.
And it's been super sweet.
Yeah.
You cook for me a lot.
I do. And I love looking up recipes and trying new things. And I can't wait to put food in other people's faces. I'm so happy. So I think the love languages are such a practical key for every partnership.
Yes. And we mentioned that in other interviews, but I'll just remind our audience, you can do a quick Google search, 5 love languages, Gary Chapman, they're right there. Super, super helpful tool in relationship, as well as John and Julie Gottman's The 4 Horsemen. I love hearing about the bids of connection, the rituals. My husband and I have that with bridges. Whenever we're on a bridge, we pause and we kiss.
I love it.
Oh, we're going to add that in.
Okay.
Yes. The bridge of connection from your island to the other, right?
Yes.
So,
love it.
We don't have many escalators here, thankfully, but I'll remember that because my husband's 6'3", so we always love the 2 steps up. And God, there's so much I want to respond to, but to preserve the honoring of our times, I'm going to say, let's press pause for now. I do hope we can continue to get to know each other and offer our good ideas and our willingness to experiment with our lives to the world. And Leah, I believe you have a free gift for our guests today.
Yes. So this is really a great video that is it's completely for free. I'd love for the viewers to check it out and to pass it on to their friends because it's a really juicy tip. It's how to never miss another clitoral orgasm again.
Ooh. Because
I know that probably every woman who's in front of the screen right now has had the experience where you were so close, you were almost through the door, you were so excited it was going to happen, and then boom, it's gone. And you're like, oh, where'd it go? Well, I tell you what happens and where it goes and why, and how you can do 2 simple things and never miss another clitoral orgasm again. And I think it's so important because when women have more pleasure in their life and in their bodies, the whole world lights up and will benefit. So it's a really short video. It's a really easy thing to integrate and to remember to do in your lovemaking, and it'll make the world a better place. So come check it out.
All right. Well, thank you. I just figured out what my Valentine's gift is for myself and for my beloved. I'm curious, should I watch it on my own or with Mark?
Oh, with Mark.
Oh, absolutely. Watch the video with him.
Yeah, or you could either one. You could watch it separately or you could watch it together.
Okay.
He's going to want to see it and you're going to want to see it.
All right, I'll do it twice. So thank you so much for that free gift. Such a delight to get to know you and bring the space between the two of you, which is no longer a virgin. It's now out there in the world. Popped your cherry and brought your love to the world. We gladly receive it. So thank you both so very much. Aloha to our audience.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right.